What if I told you forgetting about $1,000 could change your entire life? Back in 2015, while most people were still figuring out what Bitcoin was, a few brave souls put their money into something even stranger: Ethereum. Today, we're going to follow the incredible journey of someone who invested just $1,000 and then completely forgot about it. What happened next will blow your mind. But first, make sure you're subscribed because we're about to reveal some numbers that might make you rethink everything you know about investing. Picture this, it's 2015. Obama is still president, everyone's obsessed with selfie sticks, and most people think the internet is just for checking email and watching funny cat videos. In this world, a young programmer named Vitalik Buterin had what seemed like a crazy idea. Now, you might be thinking, who's Vitalik? Well, imagine if a super smart kid in your class suddenly announced he was going to build a magical computer that lived in the clouds and could do amazing things. That's basically what happened, except this kid was actually a genius, and his magical computer was called Ethereum. But here's the thing, explaining Ethereum in 2015 was like trying to explain smartphones to someone in 1985. People would scratch their heads and say, wait, what exactly does it do? Let me break it down the way I would explain it to my little cousin. You know how Bitcoin was like digital money? Well, Ethereum was like digital money's super smart big brother. While Bitcoin could only do one thing, send money from person A to person B, Ethereum could do that and a whole lot more. Think of Bitcoin like a simple calculator. It can add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Pretty useful, right? But Ethereum? Ethereum was like getting the latest smartphone when everyone else still had flip phones. It could run apps, games, store information, and even make deals automatically without any humans involved. These automatic deals were called smart contracts, but don't let the fancy name scare you. Imagine if you made a bet with your friend about whether it would rain tomorrow. Normally, you'd have to trust each other to pay up when the weather app shows the results. But with Ethereum, you could set up a smart contract that would automatically check the weather and pay the winner. No arguments, no I forgot, no problems. But here's where it gets really interesting, and really confusing for most people back then. In 2015, hardly anyone understood this stuff. When people heard cryptocurrency, they immediately thought of Bitcoin, and when they heard Bitcoin, they thought of hackers, drug dealers, and nerdy computer people doing weird internet stuff. The idea that you could build entire applications on top of a digital currency? That was like speaking alien language to most folks. Even the tech experts were scratching their heads. Picture walking into your local bank in 2015 and trying to explain Ethereum to the manager. They'd probably call security and escort you out, thinking you were trying to scam them with some elaborate computer nonsense. And let's talk about that $1,000 for a moment. Back in 2015, $1,000 wasn't pocket change for regular people. That was 2 months of groceries for a family, a decent used car down payment, a 3 months of car insurance, a nice vacation to Disney World, or about 50 trips to the movies with popcorn and drinks. For most Americans, $1,000 was serious money that took months to save up. It wasn't something you'd just throw at some weird internet experiment that most people couldn't even pronounce correctly. By the way, it's Ethereum, not Ethereum, but even that confused people. So when Ethereum finally launched in July 2015, it was like watching the world's most complicated science experiment. A few brave souls, mostly programmers and tech enthusiasts, decided to take a chance on this strange new digital world that promised to change everything. Little did anyone know, some of these people were about to make decisions that would completely transform their lives. And one person, in particular, was about to make an investment that they'd completely forget about, until years later when they discover something that would leave them absolutely speechless. The $1,000 decision that changed everything. Meet Sarah. She wasn't a tech genius or a Wall Street wizard. She was just a 28-year-old graphic designer from Portland who loved her morning coffee, binge-watching Netflix shows, and had a habit of getting excited about new things, sometimes a little too excited. It was August 2015, and Sarah had been reading about this thing called Ethereum online. Her programmer friend Jake had mentioned it during one of their weekend hangouts, saying it was like Bitcoin, but way cooler. Now, Sarah barely understood Bitcoin, but she trusted Jake. He was the guy who told her to buy Apple stock back in college, which she didn't, and who predicted that streaming would kill DVDs, which it did. Look, Jake had explained over pizza, Ethereum just launched a few weeks ago. It's trading for about 40 cents per coin. But this isn't just digital money, it's like a whole computer system that runs on the internet. People can build apps on it, make contracts, do all sorts of crazy stuff. Sarah's eyes glazed over at the technical parts, but her ears perked up at 40 cents per coin. She did quick math in her head. With $1,000, she could buy about 2,500 Ethereum coins. Even if they went to just $1 each, she'd double her money. Now, here's something important to understand about Sarah's situation. She had just received a $1,200 bonus at work for completing a big project ahead of schedule. After paying some bills, she had exactly $1,000 left over. Money she hadn't planned for, money that felt like fun money. You know that feeling when you find a $20 bill in an old jacket pocket? That's exactly how Sarah felt about this bonus. It wasn't her rent money or grocery money. It was extra, and extra money always felt easier to take risks with. The buying process in 2015 wasn't like today where you can just download an app and buy crypto in minutes. Oh no, it was like trying to solve a puzzle while blindfolded. Sarah had to 1. Sign up for something called Kraken, which sounded like a sea monster. 2. Wait 3 days for her bank account to be verified. 3. Wire transfer her money, which cost $25, she was already down to $975. 4. Figure out how to actually place the buy order. 5. Set up a wallet to store her Ethereum, another confusing step. The whole process took nearly 2 weeks. By the time Sarah finally bought her Ethereum on August 20, 2015, the price had moved to about 43 cents per coin. She ended up with approximately 2,267 Ethereum coins. Sarah took a screenshot of her purchase, sent it to Jake with a bunch of excited emojis, and then, life happened. You see, right after buying Ethereum, Sarah got swamped at work with 3 major projects. Then her sister announced she was getting married, which meant months of wedding planning chaos. Then Sarah decided to take a pottery class, started dating a guy named Marcus, and got really into yoga. The Ethereum purchase became just another browser bookmark buried under hundreds of others. The login information got written on a sticky note that eventually ended up in a drawer with old receipts and broken phone charges. Months passed. Sarah would occasionally remember her internet money and think, I should probably check on that. But life kept getting in the way. Work deadlines, weekend trips, Netflix series finales, you know how it is. Plus, checking the price meant remembering all those confusing login steps, and honestly, Sarah had better things to do with her Saturday mornings. By 2016, Sarah had completely forgotten about her digital investment. It became like that gym membership you stop using but keep paying for, except in this case, she wasn't paying anything. Her 2,267 Ethereum coins were just sitting there, quietly waiting in the digital darkness. What Sarah didn't know was that while she was busy living her life, something incredible was beginning to happen in the world of cryptocurrency. The years Sarah missed, when magic happened in the background. While Sarah was perfecting her pottery skills and planning her sister's wedding, her forgotten digital coins were about to go on the wildest roller coaster ride in financial history. It's like she had accidentally planted a tiny seed and walked away, not knowing it was about to grow into a money tree. Let me paint you a picture of what was happening in the world while Sarah lived her normal, busy life. 2016, the quiet build-up. In early 2016, while Sarah was binge-watching Making a Murderer like everyone else, something big was brewing in the Ethereum world. Developers were building the first real applications on top of Ethereum's platform. Remember those smart contracts we talked about? Well, people were finally figuring out how to use them for real stuff. The price started creeping up slowly, from 43 cents to about $1 by spring 2016. Sarah's investment had already doubled, but she had no idea. She was too busy dealing with Marcus, who turned out to be a total flake, and trying to master the pottery wheel, which was harder than it looked in the movies. But here's where it gets really interesting. In June 2016, something called the DAO happened. Think of it like this. Imagine if a bunch of people put their money together to buy a really expensive toy, but instead of adults managing the money, they let a computer program do it automatically. Well, the computer program had a bug, a really, really expensive bug. Someone figured out how to trick the program into giving them $50 million worth of Ethereum that wasn't theirs. It was like finding a glitch in a video game, except this glitch involved real money. The Ethereum community had to make a tough choice, start over with a clean slate, or let the thief keep the money. They chose to start over, which was like hitting the reset button on a massive multiplayer game. Some people weren't happy about this, but most people agreed it was the right thing to do. During all this drama, Sarah was completely oblivious. She had started a new job at a marketing agency and was working 60-hour weeks trying to prove herself. Ethereum? What Ethereum? 2017, the year everything went crazy. If 2016 was a gentle warm-up, 2017 was like strapping a rocket to a roller coaster and pointing it straight up. At the beginning of 2017, Ethereum was trading around $8. By March, it hit $50. Sarah's original $1,000 investment was now worth about $130,000, but she was too busy planning her move to a new apartment to notice the financial revolution happening in her forgotten digital wallet. Then came the summer of 2017, and this is where things got absolutely bananas. Something called ICOs, initial coin offerings, exploded onto the scene. It was like the gold rush, except instead of people rushing to California with pickaxes, they were rushing to create new cryptocurrencies built on top of Ethereum. Every day, it seemed like someone was launching a new digital coin with promises to change the world. People needed Ethereum to buy these new coins, so demand went through the roof. The price jumped from $50 to $100, then $200, then $300. It was moving so fast that people couldn't believe their eyes. Meanwhile, Sarah was dealing with her own drama. Her sister's wedding had been a disaster, the cake fell over, it rained during the outdoor ceremony, and Uncle Bob got way too drunk, she'd broken up with Marcus for good, and her new apartment's air conditioning had broken during a heat wave. By December 2017, Ethereum hit an all-time high of nearly $1,400 per coin. Sarah's 2,267 Ethereum coins were now worth over $3 million. $3 million. But Sarah was Christmas shopping at Target, completely unaware that she had accidentally become a millionaire. The craziest part? This was just the beginning. What happened next would make Sarah's head spin even faster, if only she knew to look. The discovery that changed everything. Fast forward to March 2021. Sarah was now 34, working as a senior designer at a tech startup, and had just moved in with her boyfriend David, who was definitely not a flake like Marcus. She was cleaning out boxes from her old apartment when something caught her eye, a crumpled sticky note with some weird writing on it. Kraken login, Sarah Designs 2015, password, Ethereum Rocks, 43. Sarah stared at the note for a moment, her brain trying to connect the dots. Ethereum, why did that sound familiar? Then it hit her like a truck. Oh my God, she whispered. My internet money. David looked up from his own box of random cables and chargers. You're what now? I bought some cryptocurrency years ago and totally forgot about it. Sarah was already grabbing her laptop, her heart starting to pound. It was called Ethereum. I spent like $1,000 on it back in 2015. David raised an eyebrow. Babe, you know that stuff crashed, right? Bitcoin and all that crypto stuff was just a bubble. But Sarah wasn't listening. She was frantically trying to remember how to log into Kraken. The website looked completely different now, sleeker, more professional, like it had grown up since 2015. Her hands were actually shaking as she typed in her old login information. Please work, please work, please work, she muttered. The screen loaded. Account found. Two-factor authentication required. What's two-factor authentication? Sarah asked the screen, frustrated. It took her another 20 minutes to figure out how to get back into her account using her phone number. When the account finally loaded, Sarah saw numbers that made her brain temporarily stop working. David, she called out, her voice sounding weird and squeaky. What's the date today? March 15th, why? Sarah's account showed, 2,267.3 ETH. Current price, $1,847.62 per ETH. Total value, $4,187,294.48. $4,187,294.48. Sarah blinked at the screen. Then blinked again. The numbers didn't change. David? Her voice was barely a whisper now. Yeah? I think I'm rich. David dropped his box of cables and rushed over to look at her laptop screen. His eyes went wide, then wider, then so wide Sarah thought they might fall out of his head. Holy shit, he started, then stopped. Sarah, is this real? Like, actually real? Sarah clicked refresh. The numbers were still there. She pinched herself, literally pinched herself like they do in movies. It hurt, which meant she wasn't dreaming. I bought this for 43 cents, she said, her voice sounding like it belonged to someone else. 43 cents per coin. I spent $1,000 and forgot about it for 6 years. They both sat in stunned silence, staring at the screen like it might suddenly announce just kidding, and show her real balance of $12.50. What do I do now? Sarah asked. Do I sell it? Do I keep it? Can I even access it? What if I forgot my wallet password too? Her mind was racing faster than a hamster on an energy drink. She had so many questions, so many fears, and so many emotions all hitting her at once. Excitement, terror, disbelief, joy, panic. It was like every feeling she'd ever had decided to have a party in her brain all at the same time. David was doing math on his phone. Sarah, this is more money than we'd make in 15 years of working. This is house money. This is never worry about bills again money. But even as the excitement built, a new worry crept into Sarah's mind. She remembered reading horror stories about people who had Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies but couldn't access them because of lost passwords or broken computers. What if her digital wallet was locked forever? What if this $4 million was just numbers on a screen that she could look at but never touch? The real adventure, and the real challenges, were just beginning. The incredible journey, watching $1,000 become millions. Before we dive into Sarah's struggle to actually get her hands on this fortune, let's take a step back and look at the absolutely wild ride her forgotten investment took. It's like watching a rocket ship launch in super slow motion, except this rocket ship was carrying her money to the moon. Grab some popcorn, because this timeline will blow your mind. August 2015. The beginning. Sarah's $1,000 investment at 43 cents per Ethereum coin equals 2,267 ETH total value, $1,000, obviously, since that's what she paid. End of 2015. Still quiet by December, Ethereum had barely moved. Each coin was worth about 50 cents. Sarah's investment, $1,134, she probably could have made more money in a savings account. 2016, the first real jump. This was the year Sarah was dealing with pottery classes and Marcus drama. By December 2016, each Ethereum was worth about $8. Sarah's investment, $18,136, not bad for doing absolutely nothing. 2017, the rocket ship takes off. Remember, this was the year of the ICO craze. Let's break this down month by month because it gets crazy. In January 2017, $8 per ETH equals $18,136. In March 2017, $50 per ETH equals $113,350, Sarah's a six-figure investor now. In June 2017, $400 per ETH equals $906,800, almost a millionaire. In December 2017, $1,400 per ETH equals $3,173,800, Sarah's officially a multimillionaire and has no idea. 2018, the reality check. The crypto bubble burst. By December 2018, Ethereum had crashed to about $85 per coin. Sarah's investment, $192,700, still life-changing money, but ouch. 2019, the slow recovery. Ethereum spent most of 2019 between $100 to $300. By the end of the year, it was around $130. Sarah's investment, $294,710, slowly climbing back up. 2020, the setup year. This was when big companies started taking cryptocurrency seriously. By December 2020, Ethereum hit $750. Sarah's investment, $1,700,250, back over $1 million. 2021, the year Sarah finally noticed, this is when our story gets really interesting. In January 2021, $1,000 per ETH equals $2,267,000. In March 2021, $1,847 per ETH equals $4,187,000, this is when Sarah found her sticky note. In May 2021, $4,300 per ETH equals $9,748,900, nearly $10 million. In December 2021, $4,000 per ETH equals $9,068,000, still astronomical. 2022, the crypto winter. The whole crypto market went through what people call crypto winter. By December 2022, Ethereum was down to about $1,200. Sarah's investment, $2,720,400, still millions, but a lot less millions. 2023, the comeback kid. Ethereum slowly recovered throughout 2023. By December, it was back to around $2,300. Sarah's investment, $5,214,100, over $5 million again. 2024, the new highs. As of late 2024, Ethereum reached new all-time highs of over $4,800. Sarah's investment, $10,881,600, nearly $11 million. Let me put this in perspective with some real-world comparisons. Sarah's forgotten $1,000 investment could now buy a 15 brand new Tesla Model S cars, a gorgeous mansion in most American cities, a small island. Seriously, you can buy islands for this much. College tuition for about 50 kids. Or she could just put it in a boring savings account and live off the interest for the rest of her life. The craziest part? During all these massive swings, the crashes, the recoveries, the new highs, Sarah was just living her normal life. Going to work, paying rent, worrying about normal people problems, while sitting on a fortune that kept growing and shrinking and growing again. But here's where our story gets really interesting. Having millions of dollars on a computer screen is one thing. Actually getting your hands on that money? Well, that's where Sarah was about to discover that being a crypto millionaire isn't quite as simple as it sounds. The $1 million maze, when digital fortune meets real-world problems. Sarah thought finding her forgotten investment was the hard part. Boy, was she wrong. It's like discovering you've won the lottery, only to realize the winning ticket is locked in a safe that you forgot the combination to, and the safe is floating in space. Let's walk through the nightmare that became Sarah's next few weeks. Challenge number 1, the wallet mystery. First, Sarah had to figure out where her actual Ethereum was stored. See, when you buy cryptocurrency on an exchange like Kraken, you have two options: leave it on the exchange, like keeping money in someone else's piggy bank, or move it to your own personal wallet, like putting money in your own safe at home. Sarah couldn't remember what she had done 6 years ago. She frantically searched through her old emails, looking for any clues. After hours of digital archaeology, she found it, an email from August 2015 with the subject line, "Your Ethereum wallet has been created." Her heart sank when she realized what this meant. She had moved her Ethereum to something called a paper wallet. Basically, her private keys were written down on a piece of paper. But where was that paper now? "David," she yelled, running around their apartment like a detective solving a murder case. "Help me find a piece of paper from 2015 with random letters and numbers on it." They tore apart every drawer, every old book, every folder. After 2 days of searching, David found it tucked inside Sarah's college economics textbook, a single piece of paper with a bunch of gibberish that looked like 3F2A B9C1D4E5F6A7B8C9D0E1F2A3B4C5D6E7F9B0C1D3F4A5B6C7D9F0A1B2C. That gibberish? It was worth nearly $11 million. Challenge number 2, the technology time warp. Remember, Sarah's wallet was created in 2015 when crypto technology was like trying to use the internet with a dial-up modem. The wallet software she had used didn't even exist anymore. She had to download something called MEW, My Ether Wallet, and pray it could read her ancient paper wallet. It took Sarah 3 attempts, 2 YouTube tutorials, and 1 minor panic attack before she successfully imported her wallet. When those beautiful numbers finally appeared, 2,267.3 ETH, she actually started crying. Challenge number 3, the taxman cometh. This is where Sarah's celebration came to a screeching halt. David, being the practical one, asked the question that would haunt Sarah for months: "Honey, what about taxes?" Sarah had never thought about crypto taxes because, well, she had forgotten she owned crypto. But now she owed taxes on millions of dollars of gains, and she hadn't been keeping any records for 6 years. She called her accountant, Bob, who had been doing her simple tax returns for years. "Bob," Sarah said, "I need to ask you about cryptocurrency taxes." "Sarah, you know I mainly do regular people taxes, right? Like W-2s and mortgage interest." "Well, I accidentally became a crypto millionaire." There was a long pause. "I'm going to need to call you back." Challenge number 4, the selling nightmare. Here's something nobody tells you about suddenly having millions in crypto. You can't just hit sell all and buy a yacht. Modern exchanges have limits, verification requirements, and suspicious activity protocols. When Sarah tried to sell even $100,000 worth, Kraken flagged her account and froze it for suspicious activity. She had to provide a 6 months of bank statements, a proof of employment, an explanation of where the cryptocurrency came from, a notarized letter explaining the situation. The verification process took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of staring at millions of dollars she couldn't touch, wondering if it would all disappear like a cruel dream. Challenge number 5, the emotional roller coaster. But perhaps the hardest part was the emotional chaos. Sarah went from excitement to terror to anxiety to excitement again, sometimes all in the same hour. She couldn't sleep. She couldn't focus at work. She kept checking her wallet balance every 10 minutes, terrified it would somehow vanish. What if I click the wrong button and send it all to the wrong address? She asked David for the 100th time. What if the government decides crypto is illegal? What if someone hacks my account? David had started hiding her phone at night just so she'd stop checking. After weeks of bureaucratic nightmares, technical hurdles, and emotional exhaustion, Sarah finally managed to sell her first $50,000 worth of Ethereum. When the money actually appeared in her bank account, real, spendable dollars, she called David at work, sobbing happy tears. But this was just the beginning of Sarah's journey into the strange world of sudden wealth. Because having money and knowing what to do with it? Those are two completely different problems. Remember, this story is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Cryptocurrency investments are extremely risky and volatile. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Always consult with qualified financial professionals before making investment decisions.